This is my favorite interview to do every year.
Same.
If you could just cut all of these together, you could see us grow up and also fall apart at times and go through the journey.
Yes.
Which is perfect.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, we talk a lot, but then right before these interviews, we don't talk for months.
No.
And then we catch up live on camera.
Yes.
Which is so nerve-wracking.
Yes.
But also fun.
Yes.
So since last year to now,
Yeah.
Verb is on just like this massive run. What's happening in the company, and then what's happening inside your brain?
Yeah, in the company has been all about expansion, growth, at a speed that like never would have predicted, like at this rate, where probably by the time we talked to you, I think last year we talked about like hiring 60 people like in a 6-week period to like go out and build and do all this like wonderful work that we were doing. But after that was like, okay, do we want to stay that big? Are we gonna stay that big? What's that gonna look like? And so the rest of the year was just talking about expansion, growth. Where else are we, wanting to like go back to our North Stars of like why we started Verb and how big do we want? Like it was like all of these questions, because when you become big very quickly, there's a lot of growing pains.
Right.
But there's also a lot of questions that you have to ask yourself, and Shannon and I had to ask ourselves, is this the trajectory we want to go? Is this where we're still building? Do we still want to be with, this large of a team? Are these the kind of projects that we want to do? And all of those things on some level were yes, 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 maybe. And then the maybes we had to talk through. But we also had to really get grounded about boundaries, and we had to get grounded in our value and our principles, because at some point you have to start to realize and figure out your worth and where you sit in the industry. And so we went through a rebrand in January, and part of that rebrand was showing up in a way that we haven't been showing up before. It was very if you know, you know, all by referral. We have a wonderful new head of marketing.
Yeah, your
and growth.
website was just like, if you know somebody who knows us, call us, otherwise.
By referral only. People thought it was broken.
Yeah.
And it was just like, no, that's the website. And now we have a little bit more. It's a little bit more like a newsletter, because we don't want to do what everybody else is doing. And honestly, if you're coming to a website and that's how you're picking your agencies based off their website, you're probably not the agency or the client for us, and we're probably not the agency for you.
Right.
But if you're interested in what we're doing, it's there for you. You can click the links, you can see what people are saying about us, and you can see our receipts. But it was the first time that we really put ourselves out there. And so this has been a very interesting year of like exploration, being out in the public, riding a momentum, accepting the gifts and the love and the respect and the accolades that we honestly deserved and felt like made a lot of sense of like we deserve our place in the industry. So that's what's been going on probably for the last year since we've seen each other, of like a lot. I would probably say by quarter, just a new thought that we have to just like work through.
If you could go back, this is like a straight question, but I love it. Like if you could go back to the Yadira that I interviewed 5 years ago or whatever, 4 years ago, like what advice could you give her at that time, or even like when you were starting?
Yeah, man, I don't know if I would tell her anything different, because I think that even there's like the good times, the bad times, and like the painful times, and I think you need all of those times.
Yeah.
I think what I would say is just like, hold on, like you and Shannon are on the right course. Like you're doing the things. Like everything that y'all are imagining is real. Everything that you want is right there for the taking. I think I would probably tell that person, like, you too will be shortlisted. We have 4 shortlists this year.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that, that was a big thing of just like, we didn't want to just come here and show up and activate with our client partners who are here. And, we wanted to show up and win and show that we were the best of the best. And to do that 4 or 5 years later, especially to do it in a very stealthy way that people don't really, they know our work, but they don't necessarily know us. And we know that to be true, because when we're pitching people and they're like, I've seen that, that's you. And so now it's like people, it's all coming together. So I would just tell that person from 4 to 5 years ago of like, keep going because you're on the right track and it's going to happen when it's supposed to happen.
It feels like there's no advice you can give because those sentences are like on deaf ears, because you kind of, like, it's so weird that you kind of had to experience it and go through the pain to be like, oh, this is what the sentence means that everybody says.
Yeah. The pain, you know, the pain doesn't go away. I think that's the thing. Like, you know, it's growing pains, it's money pains, it's, you know, teen pains, it's culture pains, it's like all
T-pain.
It's T-pain,
yeah.
you know, because it is, it's fun as well. Like, there is a lot to this that you just have to, like, I have an energy coach, shout out to Poe. I no longer use words that are like, we're gonna push through and fight through. But for a lack of a better term right now, you do have to just kind of go through that. And sometimes you have to dig deep and ask yourself, like, are we going to get through that? And sometimes it's when you're riding the highest high and you're also like, not the lowest low, but you're just kind of like, what is this?
Yeah.
What did I get myself into? I mean, I think once a week I ask myself, like, or I say to myself, start an agency, they said. My whole team knows I say this all the time, like, start an agency. It's like, it's always something.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's fun.
How do you do the longevity piece? Like, now that you've done this for so long.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I came here 5-6 years ago, when I saw people who had an agency for 10 years, I was like, I'm never gonna make it that far. How do you do this? But is there a secret to longevity of that?
Number one, have a good partner. Shout out to my partner. I always say this to y'all, like, I feel bad for folks who don't have a co-founder. It's so.
I've tried to steal yours a few times.
I know.
She won't return my calls.
Nobody can have her. But it makes a huge difference to ride the wave together. I can only imagine the stress when it's you by yourself having to make that decision, or it's you by yourself having to take a L, or it's you by yourself, you know, because that's where longevity comes from. When things are great, let's keep this going. Like, let's roll. Let's do all the things. But when things are tough, that's when you really want to rely on your team, or you want to rely on your co-founder, or whoever it might be. But I think that's a big piece of the longevity. I think also learning and very quickly standing up for yourself and being really clear about your boundaries. And I would say, you know, I can't believe we're at 7.5 years old, because I was in the same boat as you. Like, I've done this longer than I was at my last agency, which is nuts. But boundaries are a big thing of how we get there, because you can start to burn out when you don't have it. And I feel like we were teetering on that. We teeter on that actually pretty often. Then we have to pull ourselves back of, like, boundaries with our clients.
Have you found that this year? Have you been able to separate Yadira from Verb? Or more so?
Yes.
Yeah, and how did you do that? Just asking for a friend.
Again, shout out to Poe.
Yeah.
But Poe, Dr. Dom, like, therapy definitely works, because I had to really work through that. For so long, I just thought that the two things
were the same. The problems in the business and the problems personally are the same.
They're the same.
Right? Like, the problems of the business are usually the personality problems of the person running it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that, like, if you have a hard time giving feedback, let's say, or you have a hard time with tough conversations, the whole organization has a hard time giving tough conversations, and then there's something not working well.
Yeah, I actually noticed that how Shannon and I, basically, we consciously divide and conquer, but most things we do together. And what I have noticed is our team, they usually pair up.
Right.
There's a lot of pairs.
Oh, interesting.
And I've actually noticed this over time. So to that point,
mine has like a lot of solo cowboys.
Oh,
and
see?
I think probably because of this.
Yeah, there's a lot of pairing up, or a lot of team.
Yeah.
And it is true of, like, that deep work that you have to do, because how you show up, if you're angry that day, or you're in a fuck it attitude or whatever, you start to see it roll, especially if it sticks around. It's like not like a day thing, but it's like you start to see it show up.
Yeah.
You know, if you feel like you're in a place of abundance, and you feel like you're in a place of, like, yo, we're winning, the team feels that, they show up that way. If it feels like, oh man, I don't know what's happening right now, the economy's gone to shit, like, people are getting laid off, projects are going, people start to feel like that angst. And so I had to do a lot of work of, like, to not bring that, or to calm myself down or anchor myself, and to do that in a way that I think sometimes it scares me, because, you know, once you make some breakthroughs, I'm an Aries. I'm just used to going, like, up and down, like, shit's growth, it's terrible, it's fucked up, it's whatever. But now I'm just like a lot calmer. Like I definitely still, have those moments, but I'm like, I get where I'm going really quickly of like, okay, worry used to be a really big thing. And so now I've worked with Poe of just like worry. I don't want to think about worry. I want my worry to be an action. What am I going to do? Whatever I'm worried about, I need to do something about it. Even if that doing something is just like sitting still and like meditating on it. And so even sometimes before I go on calls, internal or external, I might be a few minutes late because I am just like getting myself centered and going in because I just know that my energy radiates and I know that my team can pick up on that and go where I'm going, and I want them to go in the way that I need them to go and I want to go.
And you kind of realize that like all the agencies that have very toxic cultures, it's just the founders who haven't figured their shit out.
Yeah.
And they're too involved or not, just like whatever their problem is, it shows in the company.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about like agencies that have been around for 20 years.
Yeah.
They're always like, oh, these guys are very notorious for having this kind of culture. And you're like, yeah, the people up top just need to go to a little bit of therapy and then we'll be fine.
Yeah, I was talking to someone, and they were telling me about their old agency and what happened with their old CEO. And it was, I was just like, the privilege to be able to be a white man sometimes and just like do the things. Unleash, right? And I was just like, no, they're doing what? And they're doing what? And they're doing what? And this is how people are showing up. And it, your team is still they're like, his team is still showing up and they're like, yeah, they hate it there. They're afraid of him, but they're still showing up. And you just don't want that. But there's a freedom to that. I think that some people think they don't take the founder part. They take the CEO part seriously, but not the founder part of like, you are laying the foundation for the company. You are laying the foundation for how your clients treat you. You are laying the foundation for how your team treats each other.
Founder foundation, I've never put that together.
That's what it is. I think that's the reason why like we don't call ourselves co-CEOs or whatever, we call ourselves co-founders. And we know that that's a big tech term, but it's like because you were laying the foundation for the company.
Do you find that like the stuff that you wrote or talked about very early on is still a good, true place to go back to?
Yes.
Yeah, I've realized that too. I've realized that like 6.5 years, people are writing their own decks and things and positioning and all that stuff. And if I go back to like when I was a kid, nobody around, just like typing away at a thing, that's like still the truest representation of what we need to be.
Well, it's interesting because when we did this rebrand, we call ourselves like, world breakers, culture makers, right? Cool, love that. But what we realized resonated is when we talk about the reason why people, like our secret sauce is that we make people feel seen, valued, connected, and ultimately obsessed is what we added to it. But it's like the heart of it, like all of the flashy, all of the fashion, all of the fun stuff, the sizzles, the, flying houses, whatever it might be. At the end of the day, when you talk about a flying house, if people could read the guests who stayed and what they wrote behind, that's where our team is like so amazing. It's like making people feel that. And the reason why we're able to make people feel that is that we are diverse. We are a team, the majority of us have not been seen, have not been valued, sometimes don't feel connected. We know what it makes to have an experience to have people do that. So it's cool to say rule breakers, culture makers, and I love that for us, and we are definitely that. But the heart of it is the seen, value, connected, and that's the part that we couldn't leave behind.
Tell me about experiential now. Like, what in the world we're about to enter, endless AI content. 20% of my feed, I would say, is already AI. Everybody trying to develop that content. What does this mean? What do you envision for like what experiential means going forward?
In the next 2 to 3 years, I think it will be very experience first. I think people are going to be thinking about media second. They're going to be thinking about experience first because one, you're not going to know what's real, what's not, unless we are in person talking to one another.
This is an experience.
This is an experience, right? And so I think that it's going to be very experience first. And I think that the people and the brands and the visionaries who get on the train now and actually put investment and budget and get ahead of it and build proprietary things and build out the things, they're going to win in the next 2 to 3 years.
When you say proprietary things, what do you mean? Like pieces of IP that they can?
Pieces of IP.
Experiential IP.
Build your own IP. Build your own Coachella that doesn't have to be Coachella, but build your own thing. Build your own podcast series.
And what's the way to do that? Is it just trying first, expanding?
Yes, it's betaing something. Like just try. Shannon was on a panel recently, we were just talking about that, where it's just like the people who take the risk, the people who are just out there and say like, hey, I'm going to take 10% of my media budget and I'm going to give it to Verb, and let's just see what happens and see what sticks. And then that's the future. And you ride that. We did this at our previous agency, we did this with Airbnb. They wanted to start a host festival. Chip Conley, who was there, wanted to start like a festival for hosting. Okay, we started with 1,200 people in San Francisco, and then it became 5,000 people in Paris, and then it was 20,000 people in downtown LA.
Right.
And it was on a trajectory, and it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But that was the idea. It was like to build out IP, because ideally it would be like you want cities to bid on it. But it was a new way for Airbnb to think about a new revenue stream. It was a new way for them to invite people in who may not have been a host. It was a way to have, brand love in that particular city. So there's so much that they can do for you that people are not thinking of it. They're just,
I feel like marketers want to, or especially for my world in advertising, we want to do it. We have a thing shortlisted here. And they were like, oh, this one didn't win because it's too much like the last one. And I was like, oh, that's a win in my book.
Yeah.
Like if you can do, this started as me asking you on lunch, like, hey, do you want to come to my apartment and let me interview you?
Yeah.
And you were like, okay, this is weird, but let's go do it. But now this is like the 5th year and then every time we do it, the creatives want to like add too much. They're like, let's change it. Let's call it something else. I'm like, no, this is public beach.
Yeah.
We do it at the public beach.
That's right.
The whole concept is we might get arrested anytime.
Yeah.
And you build it and it becomes a thing.
Yeah.
And I think we're so afraid of doing an idea twice.
Yes.
And I think the best idea should be, oh, we could do that a second year. And let's do that.
Well, 2 things. One, where it is. When even you were just like, who should be on? The amount of people who just like chimed in, tagged people, all the things. So it's like people know it's a thing now because you have to build it over time. And the second thing, what we always say is like, it takes 3 years to build something.
Yeah.
Like the first time is just like, I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. Like, we're just gonna make it happen. The second is just like, okay, we're gonna learn the lessons. And the third, if you want it to be profitable, it might be profitable. And third is like, it also becomes like its own machine in a way, right? And so the more you do it, and then it becomes a tradition. It becomes a thing that people look forward to.
It becomes the culture of your company.
Exactly.
That's what culture is, right? Like you do it. You do a thing traditionally.
Yes.
My family meets up for Eid. That becomes our culture.
Yes.
And then you kind of every year know that's going to happen.
Yep.
And you look forward to it, and then it gives you personality.
Yes.
Because, oh, those are the people that do that. That's the guy who sits on the beach.
Yes.
Like it becomes a thing.
Exactly.
It becomes part of you.
Yeah. So I think to me.
Do you think it's the CMO tenure, or is it because they come from marketing and they're always launching new campaigns, or what is it that you don't, that thinking overall, not even just experience, doesn't translate into a lot of brands doing that?
I think one, people want a sure thing. They want a sure thing, and
they want to guarantee.
They want to guarantee, and it's just like that's not how experiences work, because you can't guarantee that I'm going to experience the same thing that you're going to experience, right? So you can't guarantee that. So I think that that's what makes it hard, because they just want to know, 1 billion people have seen my ad, and I can say 1 billion people have seen my ad.
Right.
They can't necessarily do that with the experience, right? You have to trust. I think too, it's not the CMO tenure. Shannon and I have been talking about recently, like, is the CMO the decision maker anymore?
Right.
Because a lot of times it's now the CEO who is like deciding, hey, I do want to move forward with that, or I don't want to move forward with that.
Right. Interesting.
And so I think that there's a little bit of an interesting thing there, where it's not your head of marketing, your SVP of marketing, or your CMO who's able to say, I am going to do this thing, and I am going to build it out and fight for it, or do whatever. And people are fighting for their jobs, because of the tenure. And I think that that's also what makes it very tough, right?
Like they don't want to do an idea that will come to pure fruition in year 3.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I'm here for 6 months.
I'm here for 6 months. I'm here for 1.5 years.
Right.
And I got to get all this shit done that I walked into. I have to get this done in the 1.5 years to prove myself, to see if I'm going to be here for another 6 months.
Right.
And so that's really hard when you're saying to folks of like, build equity in something now.
Yeah.
That 3 months from now, or 3 years from now.
This is a weird analogy, but that's why I think, like, I always think about this from like a democracy versus monarchy situation. Like, a president thinks of what he or she can change in the next 4 years, like what they can do right now to win another election. And a king thinks of like what their grandchildren will have. And that's why when you see places like the monarchies, or like even China or Saudi Arabia, all these things, they build stuff that they're like, this isn't anything right now.
Right.
But this is gonna be awesome in 15 years.
Yes.
Like they built Dubai is like, I was born in Dubai.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was born in Dubai and there's 2 buildings. We lived in one of them. And it was just like, it was just sand everywhere. And now you go back and it's just like 10 Vegases.
It's one of my favorite places.
Yeah, it's crazy because at that time they were like, if we invest, if we put a bunch of buildings in, they're gonna be empty for a long time.
Yeah.
But when they're not empty, people are gonna love coming here.
Yes. And that's the reason why, like I was telling you, like for us, we're looking for visionaries, and we say we're for visionaries only because those are the people who are looking ahead. They can see it. They see it coming.
Right.
You know, we get a lot of like people who are like, I want to be like Airbnb, and it's just like, but are you like Brian Chesky? If you're not taking the risk, if you like, everybody wants to be Airbnb, but if you're not going to be Brian Chesky, then you're not going to do it.
He
you're not
also
invest,
knows he's not going anywhere. You know.
And
I think
that
that's
makes
the monarchy piece.
That is very true. That's a very good way of looking at it. But it's in the same vein. But we work with a lot of founders.
Right.
We do work with a lot of founding CEOs.
Do you find that usually better in ways? There's different problems
There's
there.
different, it's just,
you have to deal with people, I guess.
Some you're too close to it.
Yeah.
And then some folks are like not, and they're dealing with other issues because they're not just dealing with the marketing, they're dealing with the company and again the foundation that they're building at the same time. So it has like different issues, but to me those are the ones who can be mavericks. Those are the ones who can really push and go there. And I think a lot of times they want to, but you know, they have investors and they have boards and again, everybody has like these grand plans or these things that they want to do, but you got to step to the plate and say, I'm going to do it and I'm going to dedicate and I'm going to be consistent at it. Because a lot of people want to do a one and done and then that's it.
There's a lot of CEOs that I'm seeing that are finding really, really, really good talent and then putting them in that chief brand officer thing and giving them long contracts, like athlete contracts. And I think that's so smart to just lock a person in and say, because turning around a Fortune 500, it's a oil tanker that you're trying to turn around 1 degree at a time. And you have to build a lot of these little things and say, in 10 years, this is going to be something that everybody takes part in. Like this is South by Southwest year 1. We're just like 4 weirdos playing video games. And this will become a festival. And that is the vision that you have to have. If you don't have that and you're not able to just like, again, stick it out, see stuff 5, 10, 15 years, because look at South by now. Look at Cannes, it's in the same vein, you know? It's like these things are lasting things if you put the time, the energy into it and like see it through, and then also partner with the right people who can steer you where you need to go. Tell me about the partnership. Like if I'm today trying to start something, I agree, everybody should have a partner. I love that the role that I have because I have an amazing team and all that stuff. But early on, it was tough. It was very difficult. Tell me how to find the perfect partner to start a business.
Oh man, work with them first. I think that's the difference. Work with them first. Shannon and I worked together for 4 years before we started Verb. Because
what makes you such a perfect pair?
We overlap. Like our values are aligned, our ambitions are aligned, our likes and dislikes for the most part are pretty much aligned, our humor, like all the things that makes us really great friends and people, that's aligned. And then the way that we do business of like, we're honest. Sometimes we're too honorable. We're too thick. Like, you know, we've had a couple of team members say like, we got to put our elbows out a little bit. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess we'll practice putting our elbows. But that's just not how we show up in the world. We just believe we put out kindness or we just do the right thing. It will come to us. And so working with your partner first makes a huge difference.
What are the differences between you that are important to have?
Like Shannon's very structured, very detailed, like crazily, maniacally detailed. Where even I am afraid sometimes of just like, I got to make sure my shit is like all buttoned up. And so I would say that's when I think one of
our
major.
And you're the opposite.
And I'm the opposite. I'm very like
500
broad
ideas a minute.
Yes, I'm just like, I got a new way. I got a new thing of how I'm thinking about it. And it's just like, and that
you both
is helpful.
need that.
You need that
to
because
break the structure
taking
and to
something,
structure.
she'll say something, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take it here, and then we break down of like, okay, either how we're going to do it or what it needs to be. And so that's, I think, where we're very, very strong together. But I would say for them, it's hard because we're very alike, but like not in some areas too.
I think a lot of people, the reason why I asked about the difference is because I think a lot of people think, oh, we're very alike. Let's do, like, I love you. If we started a business,
oh my gosh,
it'd be very bad.
We need Shannon.
Yeah, we need a Shannon because we'd just be out here thinking of like crazy ideas, all the stuff we want to do, and, like vision and shit, and but like it wouldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. You talked about finding your place this time.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that a little bit?
You know, for so long, you think that you're confident. You think that like, you know, you're building. And I think a lot of the work that I've been doing with my energy coach this past year is just like really getting truly confident, like that nothing shakes that. And I think that that's what helps me break away from like Verb and Yadira are the same people. Like, no, we're not. And Verb's mistakes are Verb's mistakes and Yadira's mistakes
For
are
people who are not going through those therapy sessions, is there any advice that you can give? How do you find that true confidence? Or is it just that you have to do that work?
It's the work you have to do, to be quite honest, because it wasn't like a one-time thing. It was like, I meet with her every week.
Yeah.
And sometimes there are tears, and in the beginning I was like, I don't want to cry. I'm not doing that. I don't want to be vulnerable. But honestly, and that was a big piece of like working through the vulnerability to say, hey, this is how I'm feeling about something, or hey, and I say it to clients. Like I say now how I'm feeling to clients, or like, hey, that didn't make me feel good, or like, this is how this felt.
Has that strengthened your relationship with clients?
It has.
Yeah.
It has. And it's also...
Because sometimes we're just playing a character for clients.
Yeah, and it becomes so transactional. No one's being real. Of like, I can't support you if I don't know what you're really going through and what your shit is, and vice versa. And I think because we are very much like, not pals with our clients, because I wouldn't say, I mean, we're friends with a lot of our clients, but you get to know them and they get to know you. But if you always have up this facade of just like, everything's great, you're great. No, sometimes you're not great. Sometimes you could be better. And sometimes we can be better. And we have to have that honest dialogue. And let me tell you why we may or may not be better. And you can tell me why hey, how do we support each other? Hey, I have pressure coming from the top. I got an X, Y, and Z. My job is on the line. Like whatever that thing is.
I want to know everything.
Yeah, like, oh, you know, I'm going through tough times at home. My mom is sick. Like whatever it is, I can't support you and I can't show up for you, or I can't fall on the sword for you if that's not a conversation that we're having. So vulnerability has to be a big piece of it.
I've made decks for a client to go present at a board meeting, and I've done like rehearsing board, and it was like nowhere near my job or nowhere near our scope, because I was like, oh, you need to be successful in this thing.
Yeah.
I do these things all the time.
Yeah.
Let me help you.
Yeah.
And it's someone at the agency designed it and made it, and I was like, she's like, are you serious? Can you do that? I was like, of course.
Yeah.
Like if you succeed in this thing, I succeed in life.
Now what's funny is,
let's go do this.
Sometimes people are like, oh, I want to leave this job. I'm helping them leave their job, even though they're our client. That, like, for us, that is what, it's like all about the relationships, but it's also about building that and being vulnerable with one another. And that is something, that's the one thing I would say is just like really doing the work on that piece that really led to also, because there's a confidence piece of the vulnerability. Like you have to be confident enough to say your truth and just know, I don't know how that's going to end up. I don't know how that's going to land.
Right.
And sometimes it lands great. Sometimes it's my delivery.
Yeah, I know.
You know, sometimes it's my delivery, but for the most part, I think people know I mean no harm.
Yeah.
You know, and so if you're able to get past that for me, then great. And I think, again, that's where the yin and yang comes in.
I think people appreciate that. I think I want to say thank you, because you've said stuff to me that in the moment I was like, whoa, what do you mean? That's really mean. And then I've gone home and be like, I think she's right. I think I should call her. You know, just like, and so, because I think what you need to hear is the last thing you want to hear.
Yes.
What you really need to hear is the last thing you want to hear. I think there's a couple things you've said to me that I've like had to go on an hour-long walk after that to just like, just to be like, the fuck she mean? I'm like, fine. I'm like, and then like I'll go walk around for an hour. It's like, I should call her. She's right. You know. And I think you have that like super honest, like, hey, this is the thing. Yeah. This is the thing that you should pay attention to.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I think we call them walk the walls, and so really are like founder reviews of like all the work and whatever is like about to get presented to a client or whatever. Some of the stuff that comes out of my mouth, or I say, or the things that I want, and I'm like, oh, it's probably a better way of saying that. But I also think that that's how it has to.
But I also think
happen.
there isn't. Like, you know,
Yeah.
if there was a better way of saying that, it wouldn't cut through
It wouldn't.
to the place that it needs to go.
Yeah, like sometimes you just need to hear it straight out.
Yeah.
And in the way that I mean it, the way that I'm saying it, sometimes with the tone that I'm saying it, I need you to hear me. And so, I mean, I've just always been like that. I just say wild things.
I just saw another agency founder, friend of ours, and he came up and I was like, how are you doing? And he was like,
Yeah.
and I feel like this is code for
Yeah.
having a business.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I don't know where in this thing I am,
Yeah.
but I know that it comes back.
Yeah, even this week, you're just like, I'm walking, I'm feeling great, and then you're walking, and sometimes you're not feeling great, and then I'm walking, I see somebody, I feel great, and I walk and I see somebody, and I'm like, I'm not. You're just, you know, you want to have that consistency, you want to have consistency, you want it to feel like it's like this, but honestly, this is what makes it fun.
I think the longevity, the one thing I've learned with the longevity is when I'm here, I know more that it will come back.
Yeah.
And I think the first few years, you just don't know it'll come
that's
back.
the
Because you think,
confidence.
oh, this is the last time.
Yeah, well, that's the confidence.
And then when it's here,
Yeah.
you're like, just remember, this doesn't last.
Exactly.
You are not the king of the world. You're just the king of the world this hour.
Right.
And then it will go away.
Yes.
And just enjoy it, whatever.
Yes.
And I remember going through this like high point and then going to dinner with my girlfriend and be like, no, this is what matters.
Yeah.
That is
Yes.
a sitcom that you play a character
Yeah.
in. And then now you're back home.
Yeah.
You are not Jerry Seinfeld on the show. You are
Yeah.
just Jerry Seinfeld who's eating cereal
Yes.
at home.
Yeah, this is not forever. This is a moment. This too shall pass. I'm definitely in the same place with that. I'm
Yeah.
definitely in the same place with that.
I didn't know you could get anything you wanted to if you write down what that thing is and then break down the activities
Yeah.
and like a idiot, on-time idiot, do those things every day.
Yeah.
Like literally anything.
Yeah.
You could say, I want this thing. I want the company to do this thing.
Yeah.
That means break down 7 pages. And if I do these 7 pages every day, write an email, whatever, hire whatever, I do all of that, it will happen.
Okay, you know what? I am going to do that because I don't do that. I don't do like the same thing every day or like being consistent that way.
I got a little gold giraffe, and it was to get my head out of the shit.
Oh.
And my girlfriend gave me a little plastic giraffe. She was just like, you have to, this is every day.
Yeah.
And this
She's
is
very
where
calm,
you're
too.
going.
Yeah.
And it's hard to, like, imagine you're just swimming and you never put your head up.
Yeah.
And you will end up in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And I just reminded to be like, oh, this is what matters. Mm-hmm. And to do this, you have to be able to be like, that's where we're going.
Yeah.
To do that, these are the checkpoints. To do those checkpoints, I have to do these 20 things. And honestly, those 20 things seem so fucking unrelated to where you're going, right? So, because it might be write 5 emails a day.
Yeah.
And then you're like, how's this gonna get me to be the thing? And you're like, yeah, you broke it down. And then you wanna change the activities every week. Every week, we have this like system now, and every week someone on my leadership team is like, this system isn't working. All the tasks are wrong, and you're like, no, we broke it down in the beginning, just stay core. And they're like, there's no way possible that me doing these 5 stupid things gets us to, you're like, it does. You just kind of have to do it
Right.
and believe that
Yeah.
what you wrote down is the right thing.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about this.
Yeah, let's talk about this off.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this so many years in a row.
Yeah. No, I love it.
And I hope we do it until we die on this beach.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Yeah, I like that Shannon was like, you should get Yadira on. I was like, of course we're getting Yadira on. I hope we do this every year, and I want to like eventually AI cut all of them together.
Yes.
Make me look younger because you're not going to age.
Yeah, well.
And then make like a super cut of what we were going through.
Yeah. Oh, I actually would love that.
Yeah. That's
That'd be
my
a
plan
great
for
like
this.
next year, our 5th year anniversary.
5th year of doing this? Yeah,
I
let's
think
do that.
so.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's throw a little party.
Yes.
Cool.